hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots from goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Puck It with Jo. Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. We got a loaded day out there on the ice. I'm Jo of SportsGrid. It's time for Puck It with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV. Now we're going to jump straight into these games. And like always, we will do the recap at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. I will post the times. If you can't hang around and you want to come back, that's totally fine. I'll give you that recap at the end. We're going to start off with the Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks are taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Now the Blackhawks rolling in on the road as a dog. They're plus 128 on the money line. Total is 5.5 in this matchup. And I'm looking for Chicago to be able to put some goals up. We have a backup goaltender in for the Philadelphia Flyers who has struggled. He has yet to record a win. 3.72 goals against average and an 8.72 save percentage. Just not good out there. And I know Chicago has struggled to get those goals on the board, you guys, but they got a team total of 2.5. I'm expecting 3 goals out of them. That's coming in at minus 115. We look at Tyler Bertuzzi, and he scored a goal in 4 of his last 6 appearances versus the Flyers. So I will take Bertuzzi here for the anytime goal. And you got to love that line with Connor Bedard, Jason Dickinson, and Joey Anderson. I'm looking for that line to be able to get the points on the board today. When we look at the Flyers, they're 0-13 on the puck line as a favorite. They are rolling in here at a minus 154 favorite. Now you've got no value on Chicago plus the 1.5, but I don't expect the Flyers to be able to cover the puck line, laying 1.5 at plus 168. The value is there. I just don't see this team being able to do so. I think this is a 4-3 style game. Can Chicago get the win? Yeah, absolutely. This team has the possibility of rolling in to Philadelphia and getting the win. Philadelphia has a loss. The Flyers have lost their last 2. So they are off that loss versus the Carolina Hurricanes 4-1, a team where they normally kept it tight. So I do think Chicago is live in this matchup. Let's move on to the next one, you guys. The Minnesota Wild off the win versus the Edmonton Oilers. We'll be taking on my Calgary Flames. Now, the Calgary Flames have been so hot at home with Dustin Wolf in net. It's been incredible with what we've seen out of Wolfie out there, but it's not expected to see him today. They're able to get the win over the Rangers, and he stood on his head. Now the Calgary Flames will face the Minnesota Wild here at home. Calgary is the underdog at plus 118. Dan Vladar expected in goal for them. The Minnesota Wild minus 142 on the money line, total of 5.5. Now, when we look at goaltending and we talk about Dustin Wolf being so hot, you've got to look here at Gustafsson for the Minnesota Wild. He is incredibly hot at the moment as well. He's 9-3-2 on the season with a 2.07 goals against average and a 926 save percentage. He's been standing on his head for this Wild team. And I do think we have a lower scoring battle between these two out there on the ice. Now, those odds on FanDuel for the under 5.5 shifted a little bit, minus 106. Still like the value that you're getting on the under 5.5. Now, I'm not going to step in front of either of these teams. I think this is a 2-1 style game out here on the ice. So I think that is your best bet, taking the under. Dan Vladar, though, if he's in goal, we've seen Dan just not stand up like we've seen Wolfie do. So maybe Calgary's a team total to the under if it is confirmed Dan Vladar. Now, if it's confirmed Wolfie, we could see Calgary actually pull off this win. It's going to be a complete battle between these goaltenders. I take the under on everything if that is the case. So Blake Coleman has been strong in his last 2 games versus the Minnesota Wild. He's been able to put those goals on the board. So if you want to look at a goal scorer for the Calgary Flames, I would look at Blake Coleman. The last 5 meetings between these two teams have averaged right on 4 goals. So we're going to see a battle between these goaltenders. Let's move on to the Seattle Kraken versus the LA Kings. The Kraken, a plus 140 underdog on the road here versus the LA Kings. And rightly so. I love what we're seeing out of the Kings, especially defensively, but a -170 favorite, you guys know I can't get behind. Total of 5.5. It is -108 to the over and -112 to the under. When we look at the LA Kings here, I do think they're going to lock down on the defensive side. Joey Daccord has been playing really strong for the Seattle Kraken in net, and David Rittich is playing the same. So I think we've got another goaltending battle. I hate to give you guys all unders because I know you love to bet those overs, but I do think this is another lower scoring one. But I'm worried about that empty netter situation at the end of this game. I'm going to take the first period under 1.5. That's coming in at -118. Just with how these goalies are playing, I just don't see it being a higher scoring one. Now, the LA Kings have won 3 of the last 4 meetings, but again, the juice on the Kings straight up on that money line is just too much for me. Now, when you look at the Seattle Kraken, if you want to bet the LA Kings on the puck line in the first period, we have seen the Seattle Kraken lose their last 4 first periods on the road. They start off slow on the road. So the LA Kings first period puck line, I do think is a nice solid bet in this one. We're going to move on to the Colorado Avalanche. They're taking on the Florida Panthers. Now, Colorado rolling in as a dog at +104. The Florida Panthers -125. We're seeing a lot of movement in this line, you guys. This was closer to a pick 'em earlier in the day. That total sitting at 6.5. Now, it's interesting to see the under is the juiced line at -134. You're getting plus money to the over. And how these teams play, you would expect those goals to come raining in, especially when you've seen Florida lose their last 2 games. They've been playing such a hard schedule here. We knew that they were going to have that letdown spot in that last game out versus Chicago, only able to put up 1 goal. Chicago putting up 3, getting that win. Now, when we look at Florida's look-ahead situation, they got to beat the Avs here. This is the 4th team in the Central. They're sitting 2nd in the Atlantic. They're the Capitals on deck on Monday. They can't look past Colorado. Georgiev expected in net for the Colorado Avalanche. They've won their last 2 games. They've kept those games lower scoring. They won versus Capitals 2-1 on Thursday. Bobrovsky expected here for the Florida Panthers. Now, the Avs will have Tampa on deck on Monday. So when I look here, I'm looking for Florida to get off to a hot start in this game. They need to come out. They need to break this losing streak, and they need to get up in that first period. I'm looking for the Florida Panthers to cover the puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal. That's coming in at +174. Now, when you look at the Colorado Avalanche, they've also lost their last 5 first periods versus Atlantic divisional opponent, and we have the 2nd in the Atlantic here with the Florida Panthers. So trends do support taking the Panthers in that first period to get the win. I will take the puck line, laying a half a goal at +174. Now, I do think we can see a higher scoring first period. I expect both of those goals to come out of the Florida Panthers. It could also be a 2-1 first period with the Avs capitalizing as well in that first period. So give me the over 1.5 -128, you guys. Verhaeghe has been strong versus the Avs as well. He scored the first goal in each of the Panthers' last 2 games versus the Colorado Avalanche. So if you want to look at Verhaeghe for the first goal or the anytime goal here, I definitely would have that circle. I love Sam Bennett to come out nice and strong here as well for the Florida Panthers. And when we look at the Florida Panthers versus the Colorado Avalanche, they have won 3 of the last 4 meetings, covering the puck line in 2 of those. So I'll do first period puck line and call it a day and hopefully move on and cash some more bets after that one. The Carolina Hurricanes is the next game on deck. Let me just find odds here for you over on FanDuel. I just want to thank you guys all for tuning in. If you can hit that like, hit that retweet, I would so appreciate it. So we have the Carolina Hurricanes on the road taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets, a huge home dog, +195. +1.5 on that puck line's -124. You want to look at the Canes, they're 250 favorite. They're -245. -1.5 on the puck line is coming in at +102. We got a total of 6.5 in this battle, and I do like Columbus to be able to keep it tight. I'm going to take the Columbus Blue Jackets plus the 1.5 at -122 on that puck line here. They won the last meeting versus the Canes, but the Canes had won the 4 prior. The Canes normally come in strong versus them. Now, this is a battle of the Metro. The Carolina Hurricanes sitting at the top of the Metro, and we have the Columbus Blue Jackets sitting to the bottom. They're sitting 6th in the Metro right now. Elvis versus Krejcikov in net. So we've seen the Canes off that loss. They lost to the New Jersey Devils in a game I didn't think they were going to lose. It was the second night of a back-to-back after beating the Flyers. So, but we had seen them previously in those back-to-back situations be totally fine. When we look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, they're kind of rolling hot here. At home, they won their last 2 games. They got that big win versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, they gave up a heck of a lot of goals, but they were able to win 7-6 in overtime on Thursday. I think that momentum rolls into this game. I would look at Monahan for the anytime goal. In this one, I expect him to come out nice and strong. I do think this game finishes within a goal with how Columbus is playing as of late. So give me the puck line here on the Columbus Blue Jackets. The New Jersey Devils are taking on the Washington Capitals. Let's just grab lines over on FanDuel right now, you guys. I just got to find this game. So many games today. The New Jersey Devils rolling in as the favorite. -146 current odds. We got +122 for the Washington Capitals at home. We're getting plus money for the Capitals at home. Let that sink in for a minute. We got a total of 6.5. What do the books know that we do not know here? I'm going to take the Washington Capitals, and this is a sucker bet, then call me a sucker. This is a battle of the Metro, and yes, no Ovi in this lineup, but this Washington Capitals team has been performing nice and strong. Now, they are off the loss to the Avs in their last game out. That was a 2-1 loss, but I'm expecting them to come together in this one. The New Jersey Devils have been strong offensively as well. Jacob Markstrom expected in net. Charlie Lindgren expected here for the Washington Capitals. Now, the Devils are off that win versus the Canes, 4-2 at home. They then have the Predators on Monday. They're going to step up for this game. Of course, there's no look-ahead battle of the Metro here between these two. Panthers are on deck on Monday for the Washington Capitals. I'm going to look at a couple of things. I love the player props in this one. I love the Caps on the money line. I'm going to look at Dawson Mercer here for the anytime goal for the New Jersey Devils. He's coming in at +350. He's got at least 1 goal in 4 of the Devils' last 5 games against the Washington Capitals. So Mercer has been strong versus the Caps in his career, and I do think you look for him to continue, especially at +350 for that value. Now, with the line shifts with Ovi not on the ice here for the Caps, I'm going to look at Madjohani again to come out nice and strong, be able to get that goal on the board. He's coming in at +370 for the Washington Capitals, and this is a Capitals team off a loss. They know how to bounce back. You guys, they've won 4 of the last 6 meetings versus the Devils as well. But off that loss, they've been able to bounce back, winning their last 5 games. So if they lose, the chances are them coming back strong in the next game is there. Let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Ottawa Senators. Current lines on this, the Vancouver Canucks are +118. Road dog here taking on the Ottawa Senators at -142. We've got a total of 6.5. The juice to the under at -134. Looking at this matchup, I think we have a 4-3 style game, one that could finish in OT. The overtime value is coming in at +360, and sign me up all day long because I think it's a 4-3 game. Of course, I'm going over that total of 6.5. That's coming in at +110. Now, Lankaken is expected here for the Vancouver Canucks, and Anton Forsberg coming in here for the Ottawa Senators. Both of these goaltenders have given up some goals. We've seen the Vancouver Canucks lose their last 7 games as an underdog, coming in as an underdog here. Jake DeBrusk has scored on the road, though he has been so strong on the road. He scored a goal in the last 3 road games for the Vancouver Canucks. So give me the over. Give me DeBrusk here for the goal for the Vancouver Canucks. On the other side, you know I'm going to circle Brady Tkachuk. I love what he brings to the table for this team. Now, Vancouver has beat the Senators in the last 4 meetings. They're going to look to get back on track here after losing their last 2 games. They've had those struggles really at home. They've been stronger out there on the road. But Ottawa, they need to get back on track as well. They've lost their last 4 games Thursday to the Vegas Golden Knights 3-2. So look for both of these teams to come out strong offensively and hit these goaltenders. Next, Dallas Stars taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Dallas Stars right now on FanDuel, they are, sorry guys, there's just so many games. Dallas Stars are minus 120 favorites here on the road versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're in the Lightning at plus 100, and I know some of their games have not looked pretty as of late, but they're facing now a really hard defense in the Dallas Stars. It's going to be a battle between these two skill sets. We know the Tampa Bay Lightning are so strong offensively. We got a total of 6.5. The juice is to the under. Again, in this one now, Jake Ottinger should be in goal here for the Dallas Stars and Andre Vasilevsky for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I look at the Dallas Stars and I look at their road record, you guys, 4-4 on the road this season versus the Tampa Bay Lightning team. That 6-1-1 at home. I got to go with the home dog in the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've won the last 4 first periods at home as well. So if you want to look at Tampa on the money line in the first period, that's coming in at minus 108. I do think that is a really strong way to go. The Lightning in the first period, as well as a value on the Lightning for the full game. Now, all-time versus the Stars, the Tampa Bay Lightning have gone 28-13. So this is a team overall that they've dominated. They've won 3 of the last 4 as well. Give me Tampa plus 100 here at home. I'm also looking here at Cirelli. Cirelli has scored a goal in each of the Lightning's last 4 games. So Cirelli to continue to roll hot in this one. It's going to be a hard game for them versus Jake Ottinger and this defense of the Stars, but I think they can get it done. Next, let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights are taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Now, you know I don't really trust Vegas out there on the road, but they have got some nice road wins as of late. They're minus 162 on the money line, too highly juiced for me, plus 134 for the Montreal Canadiens, total of 6.5. Now, the 6.5 juice to the under at minus 128. You're getting plus 104 to the over, and I do think Montreal can put up their share of goals in this game to push this one over the total. So I will look at this one to go over. I do think Montreal keeps it within a goal, but that puck line for Montreal is too juice, plus 1.5 at minus 188. So you can't even look there. Just give me the over 6.5. I think it's the best way to go. Jake Evans has been stepping up for Montreal, getting those goals. I would look at Cole Caulfield as well to come out nice and strong. Let's talk the Boston Bruins versus the Detroit Red Wings. The Boston Bruins, a minus 150 favorite. They got the win 1-0 over Utah in their last game out after firing Jim Montgomery. Now, we all know that the Bruins team as a whole, these players didn't want to see him go. They're taking the responsibility on themselves. They'll now face the Red Wings on the road. The Red Wings, a home dog at plus 125. Total of 5.5 minus 120 to the over. Boston's problems were not their coaching. I do think Boston's problems were the Boston players just not giving it their all out there. We know they've got some great players. Things are just not jiving for this team. And yes, they're coming off a win. I'm not taking them for another win here. They got that win. They got that, system, fired coach's system. But here, I think Detroit can win it in an under style game. So I'm going to take Detroit. You guys are coming in at plus 125. I'm going to take the under 5.5 at minus 102. We have seen Dylan Larkin, when playing at home versus the Boston Bruins, really step up, be able to light the lamp. So I will look at Dylan Larkin here for the anytime goal on a Swayman coming out in net for the Boston Bruins. But I think the Bruins at home has all the value here. This is a game that they can get the win. Now, if they go down in the first period, that's okay, because we have seen this team struggle at home in the first period. I expect them to come back. So if Boston goes up 1-0 in that first period, I will be coming back here on the Detroit Red Wings. I almost said Lions. Okay, Utah versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I tell you, if the Penguins don't get the win tonight, I'm going to pull out my hair. Sidney Crosby, what happened last night, you guys? That just was not the game that we wanted to see with them losing that one. We were riding with the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. Not a pretty thing to be on. So they lost that game 4-1. Now they're coming in at plus 112 here at home on the second night of a back-to-back, minus 134 here for Utah. The Pittsburgh Penguins last season were actually really strong on the second night of a back-to-back. We're seeing the Utah Hockey Club second night of a back-to-back as well. Give me the Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, lines have shifted. They were a pick 'em earlier. Utah is now minus 134 favorite, plus 112 here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Give me Sidney Crosby to get goal 600. I tell you, how many times are we going to have to bet this? I thought he had it last night. When we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Arizona Coyotes, because Utah was the Arizona Coyotes. It was a team that they dominated, going 18-5 versus them. And I do think the Pens stand up in this one. Let's look at the next game. You guys, we got so many games. We're just going to quickly fly through the rest of them. The Winnipeg Jets versus the Nashville Predators. The Winnipeg Jets are coming in. Okay, let me find it. Winnipeg Jets plus 106, minus 128 here. For the Nashville Predators, Saros expected in goal for Nashville. Combry here for the Winnipeg Jets. We've got an elite power play here for Winnipeg and an intense kill here for the Preds. Best kill in the league at 91.3% of the time. I still think, though, goaltending has been weak here for the Nashville Predators. The Winnipeg Jets have a team total of 2.5. The problem with that to the over is it's juiced at minus 168. I think Forsberg can come out nice and strong for the Preds. I'm looking at Forsberg for the anytime goal. They won the last 6 at home versus the Central Division. We have the Winnipeg Jets sitting here first in the Central. I do think the Jets get it done, you guys. The Jets, I just can't believe we're getting plus 106 for the Winnipeg Jets. Something doesn't sit right with me with this game. Not my favorite game of the day, because it's just like they won 4 of the last 6 meetings here. I don't know. I don't love that game. Okay, let's look at the St. Louis Blues. We got 3 more to go over. The St. Louis Blues versus the New York Islanders. You guys, the St. Louis Blues plus 128, the New York Islanders at minus 154, total of 5.5. Juice to the over at minus 115. Give me the over here, over 5.5 at minus 115, and give me the St. Louis Blues to pull off the win at that plus money. That plus money coming in again at plus 128. I think this is a 4-2 win by the St. Louis Blues. I like what we've seen out of them as of late. And yes, they are coming off a nice big win versus who did they beat? They just beat someone in a shootout 3-2, drawing a blank on who they got that win off of. And we're seeing the Islanders roll in off a 2-1 win on the road versus the Red Wings. I just look at this game and I like more so what we see now the St. Louis Blues. I know they're on the road, but I think they win in a higher scoring one. So give me the Blues 4-2 win. So it puts us over 5.5. Kyrou has been strong. Jake Neighbors has been strong as well. Give me Kyrou for the anytime goal. He's coming in at plus 240. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the San Jose Sharks. Now we know the Sabres are on the second night of a back-to-back, and this is not a situation that is good for this team. This team has struggled on the second night of a back-to-back, losing their last 7 in this situation. The Sharks are great plus money here on the money line at home at plus 134. The value keeps ticking up on that. I also like the Sharks in the first period to come out strong versus Buffalo. Buffalo has lost their last 5 first periods off an overtime win. So I do think that trend holds true here. Alex Tuch has been strong versus the Sharks in his career as well. So if you're looking for an anytime goal scorer for Buffalo and don't want to touch the Sharks at all, I would take Alex Tuch. Now, you know I love Celebrini, Leo Carlson, and Tyler Toffoli, and what we're seeing out of them for the San Jose Sharks. So those would be the players, but I also think you look at Granlund here. For the goal, you're getting great plus money on Granlund for the anytime goal. I believe it was plus 380. The New York Rangers versus the Edmonton Oilers, a last game of the night. Now, we know the Rangers are off a loss to my Calgary Flames, and Edmonton is off the loss to the Minnesota Wild. I think this is a back and forth battle between these two, but on the defensive side. I think defenses are going to win those turnovers in their zone, and it should stay under that total. Now, I'm not going to play the under 6.5 because I still don't have full faith in goaltending here for the Edmonton Oilers, and I do think we can see the Rangers win this. I'm thinking the Rangers win this 3-1 here in Edmonton because of an empty netter. I think it's going to be a tight game, but one where it's worth a look here at the Rangers minus 1.5 on the puck line at plus. Oh, okay. So you got to do puck lines. This is what I did. The Rangers are the dog. They're plus 112. Okay. So Edmonton's minus 134 favorite, total of 6.5. I lean to the under 6.5 again. I do think Skinner, actually, it's Connor Pickard. Don't touch that total. It's going to be Connor Pickard in. I would look at the Rangers team total to the over before I did anything else. Igor will be hard to score on for the Edmonton Oilers. So if you're looking at a total, you really want to play it. Give me the Rangers team total over the 3.5. I don't know the value on that, you guys. I don't have that line in front of me, but I would look at that. Now, the Rangers, I think, plus 112. Sign me up all day long to get the win here in Edmonton. I'm going to also look at, even though the home team has won the last 4 meetings, you guys, I'm going to look at the Rangers on the reverse puck line. Laying a goal and a half on the reverse puck line here because the Oilers are the favorite. So you got to reverse that puck line. It's coming in at plus 255. I love that number. The Rangers are so strong. I think they're one of the most complete teams in the whole league, and I think they can absolutely get the win. So you guys, let's do a quick, really fast recap here because there's so many games. 25-minute mark. We've got the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm going to take the Blackhawks team total over 2.5. That's coming in at minus 115. I'm going to look at Bertuzzi for the anytime goal here as well. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Calgary Flames. This is going to be dependent on if Wolf or Dan Vladar come in for Calgary. If it's Dan Vladar, I do think the Minnesota Wild get the win. If it's Wolf, I think this is going to be an intense game between two hot goaltenders here. I'm going to look and stay off the side if that is the case. But either way, I think we could stay under the total of 5.5. Blake Coleman has been strong versus the Minnesota Wild, so him for the anytime goal is where I would look. The Seattle Kraken versus the LA Kings. I'm going to look at the first period to go under 1.5 goals in this one. That's coming in at minus 118. I think the Kings win it, but there's no value on that money line. You could look at the Kings in reg. The Colorado Avalanche taking on the Florida Panthers. Give me the Panthers to get off to a hot start. Puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal, plus 174. I'm also going to look for the first period to go over 1.5. It's coming in at minus 128. And I tell you, Sidney Crosby versus Kyle Connor fighting last night. Didn't expect to see that out there on the ice. They're just playing a recap of it on my TV. So it just kind of drew my attention. The Florida Panthers, Sam Bennett and Verhaeghe is who I'm going to look at for those anytime goals. The Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Give me the Columbus Blue Jackets to keep this tight. Plus 1.5 on the puck line at minus 122. The New Jersey Devils versus the Washington Capitals. I'm going to take Mercer for the goal here. For the Devils at plus 350. I'm going to take Andrew Mangiapane here for the Washington Capitals at plus 370. Then give me the Capitals at home. I know there's no OV, but the Capitals at home at plus 122. They've won 4 of the last 6 meetings. The Vancouver Canucks and the Ottawa Senators. I think this is our overtime game of the day. That's coming in at plus 360. I'm going to look at Jake DeBrusk. He's been strong to net those goals on the road for the anytime goal here for Jake DeBrusk. And this one to go over the total of 6.5. That's getting us plus money. I think this is a 4-3 style game. The Dallas Stars versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning plus 100 at home. I love it. The Tampa Bay Lightning in the first period to go up in that first period on the money line, minus 108. Give me Cirelli for an anytime goal for the Lightning. I just don't trust the Stars on the road, 4-4 on the road when we have a Tampa Bay Lightning team that's 6-1-1 at home this season. So, and they play them tight. They've won 3 of the last 4 as well. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Montreal Canadiens. I think the Canadiens keep this one tight. Plus 1.5 on the puck line, though, too highly juiced at minus 188. I'm looking for a higher scoring game. So because I think Montreal will do their share of the scoring, Vegas, we know, can net those goals. I'm going to take the over 6.5 with that plus money that we're getting. Jake Evans really stepping up for Montreal, but Cole Caulfield as well would be the goal scorers I'm looking at in that game. The Boston Bruins taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit, I think, wins this in a lower scoring game. Give me the Detroit Red Wings with the plus money and the under 5.5. Dylan Larkin has been strong at getting those goals at home versus the Bruins in his career. So Dylan Larkin for the anytime goal. The Utah Hockey Club versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. My God, if Sidney Crosby does not score goal 600, I'm going to give up hope that he ever will this season. Give me Sidney Crosby here at home to finally net goal 600 tonight. I just can't jump off it because you know then it's going to hit. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins here as well to get the win. Remember when Utah was Arizona, the Pittsburgh Penguins dominated this matchup. Kyle Connor was scrappy out there on the ice. Can we see a scrappy one? Or sorry, Kyle Connor no longer here. Utah, we are talking. So I liked Kyle Connor for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Everything is going on my TV. Keep staring at it, you guys. Sorry. Let's look at the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Nashville Predators. Second night of a back-to-back for the Winnipeg Jets. Theros expecting goal here for the Preds. I'm going to take the Jets to be able to score over 2.5 goals at -168 is too juice. I'm going to look here at the Jets to get the win. It's kind of confusing why this line is the way it is. They've won 4 of the last 6 meetings. The Jets are a strong team. I know it's the second night of a back-to-back, but the Preds, while they have an elite kill defensively and goaltending-wise, they've given up those goals. So Crombie versus Saros, I have more faith in the Jets to continue to roll hot. Give me that plus money on them on the money line. Forsberg, though, has been strong for the Predators. So at home, he's been scoring those goals. So I could see that coming in. The St. Louis Blues versus the New York Islanders. I think the Blues can win this in a higher scoring game. Give me the over 5.5. I think the Blues win this 4-2. If you want to do the reverse puck line, you can. For the Blues, you're going to get great plus value. I'm going to take the money line at +128. And heck, I'm going to look at the reverse puck line. If I'm getting the reverse puck line laying 1.5 here with the St. Louis Blues versus the Islanders, because I think that empty netter will come into play. And I think it's a 4-2 game. So I'm going to look at the reverse puck line. As long as I'm getting 3-1 to my money, I will put a sprinkle on that. Now, Jordan Kyrou for the anytime goal at +240 is a great bet, I think. The Buffalo Sabres taking on the San Jose Sharks. Buffalo has proven to us on the second night of a back-to-back. They have fallen flat on their faces. I like this team. I like Alex Tuch, what they're bringing to the table. Alex Tuch has been strong versus the Sabres. So if you want a goal scorer, versus the Sharks, if you want a goal scorer on the Sharks, it would be Buffalo's Alex Tuch to score on them. The Sharks, though, on the money line is where I'm going to go +134 here at home. Granlund for the anytime goal. You look at Celebrini, Tyler Toffoli for those points, Leo Carlson. I think the Sharks' first period is another strong way to go as well. Last but not least, the New York Rangers taking on the Edmonton Oilers. I am going to reverse the puck line here for the New York Rangers, laying 1.5 goals at +255. Sign me up all day, you guys. New York Rangers at +112. Connor Pickard expected here for the Edmonton Oilers. If you want to look at the Rangers team total to the over, if you think it's going to be a tighter game, I just don't see Edmonton scoring on Igor Shesterkin. So that is the recap, you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here on A Puckett with Jo today. Thank you so much for hanging in here for the last 32 minutes. We'll see you back here tomorrow at noon Eastern. Cheers, you guys.